Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, when people think of investing, they think of Wall Street, but there are other ways to put your money to work. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, we've enjoyed a really nice recovery for the stock market, especially if you think about what it was last March when stocks went to a 30% low. We've had a nice rebound. But if you're in the stock market, sometimes you need Tums because it can go up one day and down the next, and you get motion sickness from everything that's going on in Wall Street. And there are other ways to invest. Let's talk about that today with Logan Cox and Vince Nelson, both managing partners of Arno Wealth Management. Thank you for being on the show, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
Okay, so you guys really specialize in diversification. Let's talk a little bit about that. Vince, why don't you start?
Well, I mean, the average financial advisor is doing stocks, bonds, mutual funds. What we found, though, is especially weathering storms like last year's COVID, that diversification is very important. And that's not just about having lots of mutual funds. It's what are the sectors from an asset class that are going to do well in weather storms. That's why things like alternative-based investments that are not correlated to the market, to the ups and downs, where we can basically predict what types of returns we're going to generate. But then we get really creative, and we feel very strongly that looking at things such as art and even wine is a great asset investment to add to your portfolio.
Well, Logan, let's get you involved. Wine, I imagine it takes a lot of research. Yeah, I mean, you're just doing the research for the client, of course.
Yeah, well, we're fortunate that we've partnered with a really great broker dealer in Chicago called Arte Wealth, and Arte has had some previous wine relationships. Our wine advisor has been, at several Michelin star restaurants. He was a sommelier there. So we're very fortunate that both in the art and the wine sector that we have, we're not the experts, but we have brought on a team that no one else in Dallas or, even the country, I think, could have in their bullpen. So,
and does wine typically appreciate over time?
Yeah, we use several different models. One of the really great ones is when we buy a case of wine and we say, this is something that we want you as a client to be able to enjoy. So we've used in the past a model where you drink 3, you give away 3, and then the other 3 are for investments, or 4 depending on how many pieces you buy. But we've seen, waiting a few years will more than pay for the wine plus give you a return. So it's a nice combination. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Logan, let's talk about art.
Yeah.
Why is that important?
So the important thing about art is that it's an extremely steady investment. And now a lot of times people will think, oh, I have a piece of art on my wall that I bought when I was on vacation to Aspen. That's kind of what we call small A art. I'm talking about capital A art, which is really investment grade, finest quality stuff, something that you can't really just go to a gallery and purchase. It's an extremely complicated process, and it's extremely hard to find these pieces. Art done by people that you've heard of. A Picasso would be a common example of something like that. When we get into the capital A art, we really see appreciation at or even above the S&P 500 without the market correlation. And with those high grade pieces, we've even seen in the worst of times, you can still move them because the ultra wealthy are always going to be the ultra wealthy, and there's never going to be any more Picassos, right?
So my print of the dogs playing poker, no, not so much.
yeah.
If it's a print, no. If it's the original, then
Maybe. Yeah.
we're here to help you, Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Vince, talk about the origin of the name Arno.
Well, Arno, how we arrived at that name for our firm is it is the river in Florence, where really modern day banking began, a lot of commerce that really ties back to the Medici family, who were not only ultra wealthy bankers, but they were philanthropists. They actually helped support Michelangelo. They were the first to actually fund the creation of the piano. And so what we found is it's such a rich history of not only, just doing traditional banking and traditional investing, but we wanted to be able to provide really a much wider diversification, as we already said, of what could we help you build your legacy, not just for you and your dreams, but also for your family and your future, much like the Medicis had done. And so really that is our approach to your investments in your life.
And do you find that most people in your pretty much stocks and bonds, will you get this investment advice from other firms?
When it comes to art and wine, no, generally not. And then I would go one step further when it comes to non-market correlated assets, such as, say you like multifamily housing, but you don't want to buy an apartment. There are great products out there that you can take a look at that we specialize in and that will allow you to own part of an apartment or part of the construction on an apartment that will be sold. So there's different strategies that we can add to your portfolio that the traditional advisor just can't.
And Logan, do you find that it really doesn't matter what the stock market is doing, who's the president, what the economy is doing? If you're making wise alternative investments, you should be able to weather all storms?
Yeah, well, we really feel like everyone should have some exposure to the stock market, but as we grow, in the maturity of our investment and we diversify, we really feel like that having that stable portion of your portfolio is super important, especially now with worries about inflation and inflation really affects the traditional asset classes that people view as stable, and so I really think that a lot of that stuff is going to be turned on its head. So we really feel like pairing non-market correlated assets with really well chosen equities is a formula that's worked great.
Vince, we'll give you the final word. Why is it important to find a financial advisor to help you with your investments rather than just doing it yourself?
Well, I mean, there's so many great things that can be done by yourself, doing even stock research and looking at mutual funds. But when it comes to if you're a sophisticated investor who's really wanting to focus on not only building your assets, but building significant wealth and a legacy, it really takes a very comprehensive strategy. That's tied to you personally. I mean, one of the things that we always do is we look at what's important to you as an investor, what's important to your family, to your dreams. But then we look for what are those types of strategies that you're not going to have time to do on your own, let alone, even ourselves, who I would consider us experts in certain areas. We bring in a team of experts outside of ourselves to be able to look at and bring things that they're just not going to be able to find on their own. And so that to me is the strength of not just a financial advisor that you can find out there, but of what we do at Arno Wealth.
Outstanding. Well, you guys have been a great guest. We're going to have you back again soon. We'll end by putting up the website. ArnoWealth.com is the website. Logan Cox, Vince Nelson, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.